Hey everybody, my name is Yannick and welcome to the Glad Show. Today I'm talking about a very important topic, interesting topic, and we bring a different approach to this topic that everybody knows about. We talk about happiness with amazing Arnold Collery, and he is a stand-up comedian, he's an actor, he's a speaker, he's a coach, he's a chief happiness officer, that's his official title, and he is a true storyteller. And he coaches teams and management and individuals on purpose and well-being and on storytelling. He speaks at the events around the world on passion and trains companies to bring empathy and resilience at work. He is hosting his own event in New York City and in different locations around the world. The event is called Stand Up for Passion. And in these events, he brings people on the stage to share their story and make an impact and influence to the world like that. Okay, so we're ready to start. Are you ready to start?
Yeah, let's ready. Let's
okay. So welcome to the show, Arnold. I'd really love to have you here today and talk with you about happiness. You are an expert and specialist on happiness. So thank you for coming to the show, and let's start with your story. So can you tell me a little bit more, like how you found yourself here, what brought you to become, how did you become like the Chief Happiness Officer? That is your official title today. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Thank you, Jenny, and I'm glad to be on the show. We've been speaking for a few years now, so it's great. We never met in person, but we had so many exchanges. So really happy that you take the time and receive me. And just before I go on my story, just if I'm a little bit slow today and stuff, I just want to say it's because of a new happiness of mine. I just got a 7 weeks old baby now. I haven't slept for basically 7 weeks. I love it, but I might be a little bit slow, baby fried brain, right?
It's okay, because usually you are so fast. So I think like the slower version of you is
Yes, you're right. Actually, maybe it's actually a good idea. Sometimes I'm too intense for people, so maybe it's just
puts
me down. Maybe that's why I had a baby. Maybe that's why I had a baby.
Congratulations for the baby.
Thank you. So my story, born in France, always felt I wanted to see the world and see outside of Paris and really test myself. There was this thing I wanted to, this early feeling I have, which I wanted to test myself, see how I fit somewhere else. I know I could fit in Paris, but what else? What's outside?
First you had this natural curiosity, like when you went with the young boy.
Yes, and I was always like, I was always aware of people just being at ease in their environment, right? So my soccer friend, just with, even when I was 15, 16, with their soccer friends, right? My friend were just passionate about America, just with American stuff. And I was always belonging to different group. And I would already organize events, gathering of friends. And I was amazed how people would not talk to each other when they were from a different community, different part. Even being growing up French, we are very politicized, for instance, right? So everyone has got their own politic, and because of what you think in terms of politics and human rights and stuff, you might not have discussion with your other friend, when actually it's a sign of intelligence to be able to hear the idea of other people without accepting it, right? To really be open. And the reason today I became a storytelling expert and a happiness expert is every single day since I was, I don't know, 14 maybe, I would spend an hour listening to someone's story. My parents knew about this, my wife knew about it now. And every day I need to be, whether I'm coaching that person or not, I need to dwell myself into someone else's idea, environment, time frame, philosophy of life. So when I'm 16, I decide to quit France, basically. And I got accepted in a program, a US program, as an exchange student in Georgia, of all places. Because I didn't have actually the money to go to New York or LA and the grades, let's be honest. So I ended up in a high school, very far stretch in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Not easy every time. I remember the white and the black were not speaking to each other. So it's very interesting because I leave Paris to see the world. And here I come to America, which I love.
Yeah.
And yet also see some very, very strong separation. But I had a hell of a time, and something I loved about America, which is really the American spirit, still alive to this day, despite everything else, is that you can recreate yourself. You can reinvent yourself.
Yeah, that's what I love as well.
Yourself.
Yeah.
You can decide, and no one cares.
Yeah.
Right?
You can be yourself and do what you want.
Right. Unless now the country is a bit divided because of politics.
Of course, yeah.
If you put politics aside, people appreciate you try to create a new self, reinvent yourself. And this is what I pick up in America.
Yeah.
The best of American spirit. So I got back to Paris. I was 17. And then I wanted more of the world. I'd already seen something else. I got myself enrolled in a Japanese program. Amazing. I spent 1 year in Japan. I was 19. Japanese family and Japanese people. And then Japan, I learned something totally different. Right? If I'm in America, I learned about how one can always reinvent himself. It's about each of us every day to get a choice and to decide, I want to be that now. I want to be that. And how much effort I have to go to become that person. So America is about instantaneous decision. It's about ultimate decision making, right? In Japan, whole different world. Whole Japan, as you might imagine, when I got back in France and I was 20, with those two experiences, the action-oriented American spirit and the purpose-oriented philosophy of Japan, I decided that my whole life, when I was 20 years old, my whole life was going to be about trying things, experimenting. And I actually wrote on my military sword when I was 21, I had to do the French military service. And I wrote on my officer's sword, life, en français, in French is être sur un fil, c'est vivre. Le reste n'est qu'attente. Life is to be on a thread. Everything else is waiting. So which is, you have to be in constant alert, in constant
search. Do you mean that?
Yes. Constant search. And I was fine. I decided that was going to be my life at 20.
Absolutely. So interesting.
Thank you.
So one question before we move forward. So already at the young age, you started seeing these kind of a different kind of societies and small groups and how groups are communicating with each other. And you went to see like different countries and cultures, and you saw the same thing is happening all over on different levels.
Yes.
Like no matter what. Okay.
No matter what. But what I saw is, so now I'm France, in America, Japan. In Japan, I also see some of the bad side. I mean, I saw, so for instance, that there is a sort of the outcast of Japan no one talked about. So some of those were from a long time ago, sort of a low caste in this, like, Indian of casting system. And now they are paria in the Japanese society, and no one talks to them. Yet, I could get something about Japan, which is the Ikigai. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I know Ikigai. I love Ikigai.
And it's such a wonderful...
To tell, maybe we have to tell, like, what is Ikigai? It's basically the Japanese concept on meaning of life. And it's beautiful when everything is in balance. People can Google it. I recommend that to everybody to Google it, because it's like you can go through the Ikigai and see, like, how you can really see, like, what's missing from your happiness plate, right?
It's exactly this. It's a way to say, okay, what am I missing? Am I aligned with my passion?
Yeah.
My vocation? What is it I'm made for? And sometimes it's different, my passion, vocation. And what is it I can make money at as well? And how can I align? You and I, we are fortunate enough that we found a way to align our purpose and making money at it. We make a professional business life out of helping people and empowering others. And whatever it is, your mission life, it's if you can find a way to I was talking to this young French guy in New York, for instance, yesterday, and he know his boss. His boss, sort of a friend of mine, and he's like, "I'm gonna quit. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
he works." And I'm like, "Well, I told you the first day I saw you in this company, you're not made for this job. I don't know why you're doing this. It's a tech company, and the guy is all about fashion. That's what he does. His looks, his everything is say work in fashion. Say, yeah, but I'm gonna have to start from scratch. I'm 28.
Yeah.
So what? Think 10 years down the road, man. Why are you staying in pure tech company? You're not made for this world. It's an
Yeah.
engineer world. It's a geek world. You'll never be the best. You'll never be
Mm.
as good as them. If you go to fashion, go to somewhere where you have an edge. And even if you have to start at the bottom, it's okay. He's single. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have a kid. Life is open to you, man. You can go anywhere in the world. And if you have to find a job in fashion in Shanghai or Dubai or Tanzania, go for it. You don't have to stay in New York. You will be able to, have a good, amazing life. Reinventing yourself is always good. Change is always good. And you'll be able to use whatever you got so far. Use it somewhere else. And so back to my story. So US, Japan.
Before we go there, I have a question. Otherwise, I forget. So why do you think, because you coach people like in these kind of situations and you inspire people to follow their passion,
Right.
Why people can't follow their passions? Why they can't do what they really want to do?
It's very interesting. So it comes down to a few things. First of all, family and friends. Family and friends are the most important things in the world.
Yeah.
Hands down. I mean, I have a kid now, love him to death. And I even say, you might have seen on my return email, things are going to be slow for the next few months because I have a kid. And some of my clients call me, did you actually wrote that? And I say, yeah, I've been giving you priority now for my kid for the next 3 months is priority. And then I go back more on my coaching business, but next 3 months is my kid. I know how important are the 3 months. And I think it's, so when I say friends and family, and friends, of course, every time I need to make a new decision in my life, I go to 4 or 5 trusted friends. What do you think? Yet, friends and family, despite what I've just said, are the number one reason people don't change. When you go down to why they don't want to change life, and they say, yeah, but my mom, my dad, my girlfriend, my wife, my husband, my partner, whatever, is not gonna like that.
Yeah,
or even
that's
my
an
kid,
excuse, isn't it?
It's not. It's an excuse, and they're really afraid. They're really afraid of the judgment of other people. It's so afraid. And as European, we are even more afraid, right? American are less afraid of what family thinks. It's me first. So it's a bit selfish in a way, but also in a way, it's you get to become the best version of yourself, and best version of yourself include understanding yourself, include self-examination, making your values your priority in your life. And if I do believe you make your own value priority of your life, everything else is going to fall down, and you'll be generous with people. You'll be happy with people because you serve yourself first, right?
Absolutely.
So it's,
and I can totally align with that, because that was exactly what kept me stuck in my job, which I was not made for, and corporate job and business world, and I was like, it's not for me. But I was so afraid to make those changes.
Right.
I was like, what's going to happen to me?
Right. And there's no right way to do it. There's no have to. And I speak a lot about the happiness ecosystem. There's 30, 40 things basically that makes us happy, right? And one of them is family, one of them is friends, one of them is sports, working out, any kind of physical activity, one of them is health, and art, music, listening, active listening. We can go on the 40 difference. Yet all others have to understand we have a certain percentage to each of those things, right? I give you an example. Michael, my friend in Japan, is not so fit physically, let's say. And for 20 years, I love sports, right? And every time I go back to Japan, which is a dear country of mine, we work out and go to the gym, he lose weight, and he's back on track. And then I leave Japan, and now I do think health is super important for me. I mean, I can not imagine a day without working out or running or some sort of physical activity. Not everyone needs it. Not. On average, yet you need it. On average, yes, people are better off if they are married. Yes, on average, if they have kids. Yet, not everybody needs to do sports. Not everyone needs to get married. Not every married couple needs to have a kid. You're fine if you never have kids. So that's why I have a kid now. I put on Instagram yesterday. I love it. Best thing ever happened to me. No one needs to have a kid. It's a choice of mine, and I will tell no one to have a kid.
These basic standards that we think that we have to do, how we have to live, and that's what most people that think like this is the only way to that make myself happy. You know, this is the way to make myself happy. If I exercise, if I have a relationship, if I get married, if I have kids, if I have a good job. There's a lot of comparison that we do. We compare ourselves to our friends and other people and people we admire, and we think that that's what they did, and that's something that we have to do, and then we become happy, successful, abundant, loved, you know.
It's so important what you're just saying. It's exactly that. Even, for instance, when you look at success and entrepreneurship, most people, they buy the book on, you know, how to succeed and be the top entrepreneur. Yet, most of what works for a typical, a specific entrepreneur would not work for another one. A successful guy, because he was at the right time, right place and timing, and things is done in his company with his right state of mind, with the right corporate culture, works in his case. We learn much more in life of what doesn't work in other people, because that makes us reflect. So we really have to spend the time of what makes me happy, really, truly. I mean, you look at the decision you made over the last 10 years. What is it that work? What is it that doesn't work? Just forget about the whole society, what people say. What works for you? I mean, for instance, for me, my New York business friend don't understand when I go to Tanzania for 1 month and I don't have money and I be a volunteer. They don't understand when I brought my event to Nepal last year and I was in Kathmandu for 2 weeks. It took me 2 months to work to create this event, and I make no money, $1,500 maybe. You spend 2 months, you make no money, and why would you do that? It's already a difficult job to be a coach. I'm like, because it's a lifetime experience. I spent 2 weeks in Nepal working with the Nepalese people. What else you want in life? What is it you work for? You don't work for money. I think you work for life experiences. But I know that fits me. So it's a priority. It's a trade-off. I'm going to lose money for 2 months in New York, but I'm going to get so much more in terms of love and impact and understanding of the world. Nepal people, I work with monks there. I work with animal activists. I work with the biggest entrepreneur in Nepal. That was one of the best experiences in my life. Yet a typical business guy say, well, you didn't do your numbers, and so what?
Yeah,
I know it feeds me, because I know I have cultural experience and understand how more the work works. It's important for me, and I know I need. Even my wife, when we get married, I say I will never stop being an adventurer, even when I have a kid. For instance, I have a kid now, and I will still do adventure with or without my kids.
Yeah,
it feeds me. I need to go and meet other culture and getting meetings of the mind as much as I can. So yeah, understanding oneself is a key. Should I go back to my story? Or?
Yes, let's go back to your story.
I'm still at 21 years old.
I was about to take you there.
I think I'm at 21 now, which is like. I decided, it was 20 years ago, my God, I wanted to be a motivational speaker already and coach. And I've done, I was starting to do conference. I was writing book unpublished. I wrote 5-6 books unpublished. And then I was like, and I got a TV show. So I had a TV show on happiness, was the first one in Europe, 1 minute a day. And then my show got canceled because they told me it's so American what you do, talking about what you want and following your desire and your path. And I'm like, my mentors at the time, the guys that were my age, they're like, if you want to succeed, if you want to be yourself, if you want to be aligned with who you are, you get to leave France. It's not the country for you. And that's what I did. And I spent basically 15 years around the world doing everything. I was an actor. I was a stand-up comedian in LA for many years. I was a filmmaker. I was a technologies guy in South Africa. I create tech events. I went back to Japan many times in my life. I work in the luxury industry. I work in the event business in Japan. I work with politicians. I create a movie production in Japan. So between basically Japan, America, Africa, a little bit of the Middle East, all sorts of jobs for 15 years. And what happened is 4 years ago, I'm like, okay, I spent 15 years around the world. I experiment. I saw so much of the world. Now, what did I build? What did I leave as an impact? I made a lot of people happy as a comedian, as an event organizer, but nothing substantial, right?
Tangible, yeah. Okay.
Tangible.
Yeah.
And I say, I want to change that. Now, for my own happiness, I understand I need to make an impact. More than just, I'm the fun guy, party guy. That's how people used to know me. So I changed completely. So, I mean, I was like, I was organizing some of the best party in the world, and I was best comedy club also, and
you kind of missed the deeper meaning. So and making a difference and influencing.
So, and so to change that, I did a couple of things. I went to Tanzania, and I spent a month as a volunteer working with kids in the village. I went to East LA. I work with kids there. Tough neighborhood. And then the final change was spending a month in a tribe in Amazon in 2013. Yeah, Christmas 2013. So,
what did you learn in there?
So 4.5 years ago, right? 4.5 years ago. Yeah. So that was the final thing. So spending 3 weeks with them, what I learned is first of all, we all have a purpose. What I saw in the tribe is very organic. The one that is good at killing the animals to feed the family is going to become the warrior and the fighter and the hunter, whether it's a man or woman. The one who's good at cooking becomes the cook, whether it's a man or woman. The one who's good at storytelling, that's going to be his purpose. Every night around the fire, they'll start telling story. The one who's the deep listener is the one we go and seek advice. And sort of everyone find their own purpose. So fun, and which is something I had seen as well with the Maasai in Tanzania. Maasai said the goal of happiness is to find your purpose. They actually say it in their own language, in Kiswahili. So here again, I see that in the tribe. First is purpose. Second one is there's no such thing as worrying on things that most likely not going to happen. I mean, you know that as a life coach. I'm not teaching you anything. It's probably just saying what you already know in a different way. What I've seen is, we all know that, right? 80% of our worry are things that will never happen. 80% of them, right?
Yeah,
things that, oh my God, our monkey brain. Right?
Yeah.
And what I've seen is to an extent in the Amazon River was crazy. So I was in Ecuador, in the Amazon, the Sashi Washi. So a few anecdotes. I'm walking with the chief of the tribe in the jungle, hunting, and there's a kid following us. He's 5 years old. And at some point, I don't see the kid. And when you walk in the jungle, there's nothing in front of you. Like there's no path.
Yeah.
No path. The way he recognizes his way in the jungle, he breaks some flower like this along the way. I wasn't able to recognize. He's like, this is, I know which
They know how to come back, yeah.
It's unbelievable. And then at some point, I don't see the kid. Where's the kid? Oh, he'll come around. But we have to wait. I know he's going to find his way. He's born there. And I was so worried. For 20 minutes, I was worrying about the kid. We have to wait. We have to wait for the kid. I'm telling the chief of the tribe. And it was not up to me. He knows his environment. Right?
Yeah.
And I was worrying for something. It's not even my responsibility. And lots of things with kids, right? I came back to the village, and there was another kid, which they always do in the village, right? He's walking, he's climbing the trees like 40 meters high, like they do, you know. And I'm like, oh my God, what if he fell? He's like, most likely it never happened. Does it ever happen? Yeah, it happened. Some kid die. But, you know, last time was 20 years ago. It's okay. And so because the chance of a kid falling and dying is so small, they're not gonna prevent the 40 kids of the tribe every single day to climb the tree. Because if you divide by the number of one kid, it's, you know, probably one in I don't know, 100,000 fall. So why worrying about this? Same thing. I was kids again. Kids were swimming all day long in the river. In the river, anacondas are there. You know anacondas?
Yeah, for sure.
They are there every day. And I'm like, crazy day. I was never swimming in the river. Adults don't swim in the river because they're afraid of the anaconda. But they let the kid go. They say, yeah, but what if the kid get eaten by an anaconda? Never happens. Does it ever happen? Yes, it happened. We have kid disappeared. The last one was 7 years ago. But why worry? And I was like,
yeah,
unbelievable. And so they never worried, never. One time there was a
so instead of worrying and paying attention, like what's happening, what could happen, what kind of horrible things could happen, they just focused on doing and living in the moment, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you of thousands of experiences, but basically first one is purpose, clear sense of purpose. Two, why worry about things that doesn't concern us now, right?
Yeah, why worry about the future, because you cannot really know what's going to happen in there.
Right. And then the third, which is the consequence of number two, is of course, let's be happy. Let's be happy now. We have food now. Let's enjoy. Right. We have they had made a sort of special wine from the trees. Which was disgusting. As a Frenchman, we have good wine, so it was a very disgusting wine. I have to say, I'm sorry. I still have to judge wine. I know we should not supposed to judge, but when it comes to wine, I gotta judge. I mean, you got to let me my Frenchness at some point.
I understand the wine point,
That's the one thing I still judge wine. And it was just, but they would like, I remember one day we were, there was some sort of like, sort of mini storm that had sort of half destroyed the village. And I'm like, we have to repair. And I'm not an engineer, but I'm like, we have to repair the village. And no, we finally did the harvest of the wine. The wine is ready. We're just going to drink. I'm like, but if the storm come back in 2 hours, what are we going to do? We have no more house. Let's just drink wine and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I was like constantly every single day. So, you know, and keep in mind, I'm a very optimistic guy and positive, and I'm a guy who was a party organizer. I was a comedian.
Yeah.
So I was not, you know.
But you had to question your own thing.
And yet, even though I'm not a type A person, even though I'm not a control freak, yet my remaining as a Westerner guy was still, and after 3 weeks there, watching them, I had a whole aha moment. I said, this is what I have to bring for the rest of the world. Let's not worry. Let's live now in the present. Let's be at peace with ourselves. Let's do storytelling. And absolutely. I came back in New York in January 2014, to January 2014. And from then on, I said, this is what I'm just going to focus on. What had interested me in France 20 years prior, making people happy, but this time with meanings, right?
Yeah.
Instead of entertaining them with films and comedy and parties, I said, I'm going to talk about deep stuff. What is it they're looking for? And this is why I start what I'm doing now. And
the Stand Up for Passion event.
My event, Stand Up for Passion, which I do around the world. We take 7 people with deep story. I coach them to understand their stories. Doing the next one in New York in 1 week, June 27, with 7 women, 7 powerful women. Some of them are flying from South America, Europe, to just be one of the panelists. And we've done that 20 times. So we brought the event in London, in Japan, in Morocco, in Brazil soon, Canada soon. Maybe with your help one day in Germany.
Sure.
I know I have a few people that want to bring in Berlin, actually.
Yeah.
but that we just need sponsors. So if
Mm.
you find a corporate sponsor, you let me know. We'll do in Germany.
Okay.
I'm always looking for a new country, new people.
Absolutely.
And so Stand Up for Passion is one thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time, I'm this chief happiness officer for a few days at a time in a company, any kind of company around the world.
And you teach them, what do you teach to them?
So I teach them two things really. It's how to get meaning out of their story as a tribe, to understand the stories of everyone in the company, and how can we formulate a bigger story. What's behind, what's the reason all of you guys are here today? There must be a reason. Just like me, there was a reason for me to be in Ecuador. Just like me, there was a reason for me to be in Japan. Just like me, there was a reason when I was at 16 years old, a young man in Georgia. I could have stayed in Paris. There was a reason. It was not easy every day at 16 in Georgia. Yet, that was the reason. And same thing, when I go to a company, I say, not all of you might be happy right now, but there is a reason. Understand it.
Yeah.
And if it's not the right thing, it's not the right thing. But try to get your story straight and get a communal story. Because everything we want to do is to be in communion with each other. Everything we want to do is to understand the infinite. What's behind the possibility? We're here to expand our life. None of us.
This is very fascinating. So especially with companies, how does it work? Like, how does it improve the environment and improve the community in the company? Is it because everybody's understanding the why through storytelling, why we are doing this, you know?
It's just this. 90% of the company, I've worked with 50 companies, 20 countries over the last 4 years. What I've seen is 90% of the people, when I go inside the company, do not know each other and do not know themselves.
Yeah.
So they've not done self-examination. You know, most people don't have a coach yet, or therapist, or psychiatrist, or a body that really help them to understand the meaning of their life. 90% of people don't do self-examination. So if they don't know themselves, how can you expect them to be true and real with people they meet in the company day to day? So first, I tell them the power of self-examination. And we work on that, ask them questions. It's a very organic work. I don't bring PowerPoint, ask questions, whatever I feel that person needs to hear. I work with 30 people at a time, usually, over the course of 2 days on average. And 90% of people don't know themselves.
Yeah.
And I say, it's time for you guys to understand yourself if you want to be happy in your company. 90% of people don't know who they're working with. So they have no idea what's the passion, the mission of Julie in the administrative department, of Paul as the executive vice president of marketing, of Henri in the accounting department. They have no freaking idea. Guys, if you don't, and you want to work each other, you want to work together, and you never once you spend 10 minutes knowing that person, and you've been working 5 years together, and you're wondering why it's not working. Hello.
And it's also, of course, like people are working in the jobs that they don't know if they are really good at, if they are meant to be in there, like to thrive in your travels, like they had a role. It's very simple example because life is simple there, and our life in Western world is so complicated. So it's easy to lose your connection with yourself, but also like what is my best skill? Who is the best version of myself? And what does him or her do in the world, you know, in their life? So it's like it's quite challenging to bring that in organizations, I can imagine.
But I mean, without challenge, life is boring.
I know, but I totally appreciate your efforts. So
bring the challenge, and I thrive, right?
Yeah.
One of the what I talked about in my book on
Mr. Happiness.
It's available on Amazon.fr, just in French for now. But what I talked about is again self-examination, and when you go deep in yourself first, deep into other people's story, you will get connected to yourself, connected to others, and that's That's the beginning of everything. And
Yeah.
then everything from them has to flow. Uh, and then once things are flowing, once you get to know your story, once you get to know the story of others, for me, the most important, what I talked about in my book, is to understand your philosophy of your life. What is the thread? What is that sentence you seem to live by? I told you the sentence I created consciously when I was 20 was to be on a thread is to be alive. Everything else is waiting.
Yeah.
Être sur un fil, c'est vivre, le reste n'est qu'attente.
Yeah.
That's why I decide consciously. And then writing this book, I look over my own story the last few years. And now my story is 3 words. It's grow, thrive, and serve. I need to serve people to be happy, to have impact, to empower others. I need to thrive still. So to have good time, and good time for me to be intense. So that works for me. Doesn't mean works for everyone. So I need still to be with tribes. I need to be with exciting things. I can't wait to go to Brazil, to be in the Brazil Amazon and see what's happening. I can't wait right now. I'm going to do a entrepreneur retreat in Colombia with Endeavor, one of the biggest entrepreneur organizations in the world. I can't wait to meet the top entrepreneur of Colombia. It's exciting for me, right?
Yeah.
So I need to serve, I need to thrive, and I need to grow. So I need to learn.
Yeah.
So just, having this exchange with you, I'm going to learn. I need to learn physically. I need to learn mentally. I need to learn spiritually. A day I don't learn something, I can't sleep, right?
Yeah.
But that's right. But because I did so much work on my own story, what's important to me, I could sum it up. And I think everyone else needs to sum up their story. What is it about? So then they can connect to themselves and connect to others. They know what is it they need? What is it that matters for them?
Beautiful. And that's how, because you of course, that is really beautiful and powerful, because I said, but for you, it's like you need to be constantly on the move so that you can grow and learn all the time. You're very passionate about learning.
Yeah. On the move, yet what I tell everyone, so we all need, even though I am mostly, I guess, an extrovert and I get energy from talking to people and from empowering people. Yet even me, people think I'm always on the go. I am mostly on the go because that's what I need, intensity. Yet sometimes I need 1 week off totally, like when off, I cannot do nothing, no Skype, no phone, no email, digitally connected and physically disconnected from others. So I can replenish myself, and I go to nature. With or without my wife, and and people say, so you did that, you need, I need to do that as well. So we all need also how we recharge ourselves. I need to recharge by being intense, and if every 2-3 months I need 5-6 days just nothing, absolutely in nature.
Wonderful. Anything else you want to share at the end of this interview? What is the most important thing? What do you want to share with the audience? Like, because many people come to me and they just like asking, I've been trying to find my purpose and my passion, and I want to be my best self, best version of myself. How can I do that?
So first of all is accept you're starting from scratch. I've never met anyone who jumped from doing not exactly what he wants to doing exactly what he wants. Everything's going to be a journey. Everything's going to be a struggle. Financially, mentally, you're going to pick up yourself as some people dear to you. They're not going to understand you. Some friends say, what the fuck are you doing? They're all going to, so you have to be ready to start from scratch, to reinventing yourself, which is to recreate your own ecosystem. And to understand you're doing that for the long term. You're doing that for that version of yourself in the future that you will have to accept sacrifice, right? And sacrifice is key, the trade-off. What is it I'm willing to sacrifice in order to become the best version of myself? What is it I'm willing to sacrifice in order to become this? I mean, I've done that 15 times. This is why I wrote the book. 15 times I changed career. Every time I start from scratch. So I didn't find myself at 40 years old with a huge net worth and income and savings. No. But I have a full life of experience. Every time I had a little bit of money, I use it to go through my next life where I know I would make very slow money and then I recreate my community, I recreate friends, and I recreate things, which is fine. So accepting this, if you want to bring this work into the corporation, I have I've created a chief happiness officer training, both in French in France and in English on the island of Aruba. And we're also going to travel with this training. It's 5 days of training where I teach people that want to bring my work to corporation. Basically, 5 days on joy and purpose. That's all I do. How to find joy within yourself, how to spread joy, and how to find purpose with yourself, and how to spread purpose searching with people you meet. That's all I do. I teach for 5 days, and I teach that to HR people, communication people, head of small and mid-cap companies. So first is accept you need to start from scratch. 2 is, if you want to bring that to corporation, do my program. If you want to spread storytelling, importance of storytelling, come and maybe join us one of our events.
Absolutely.
Stand Up for Passion, or help us to bring that event somewhere else in the world. Be a speaker in one event. Create your own storytelling in your event, in your town. But don't just create. If you do, you have to help people tell their own story. Don't just say, hey, I'm going to create an event, guys. No, you have to do the thing. It's going to take time. You have to coach people. Everything takes time. And for me, it's the importance of, even though I'm intense and I love to jump on a new thing, I know it takes time. So everything I go with intensity and energy, yet knowing that it's never going to be as fast as I want.
Yeah, that's what goes wrong with most people, because they think that they can do the changes in a day. That's what I would love to do, of course. But you mentioned the journey, that it's a journey and there's next steps, and you're growing while you're doing that. And that's basically how I found my passion, slowly but surely, kind of a finding and looking and searching. And that's what happened to you as well. But following your own calling and desires, right? What was really interesting to you? What you liked and loved?
And write it down. Spend the time. Who said that? If it's a motivational speaker, a spiritual leader, someone said this beautiful sentence. It's most people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year, underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years.
10 years. I saw that as well. I actually saw that yesterday. It's so funny that you mentioned that.
Synchronicity, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I was
it's such an important thing. People, they say and many people, I've tried that, but it didn't work. I spent a year. Okay, a year is nothing. I mean, lower the expectation. One of my good friend is also a happiness expert. He just launched a book, which is an international bestseller. I haven't talked to him for months. He's on the road constantly. His name is Mo Godat, and he wrote a book called Solve for Happy. And the whole book is about this, about the expectation you have for yourself. And it's all about the expectation we have. It's just go for it, thrive, try to go for the most crazy thing inside of you, yet be okay that it's not going to be as maybe impactful as you want, or as much as you want right away. But on the long term, it will be. You know this. I mean, everything that you really, really, really absolutely want happens never when you want, never how you want. Ever.
Yeah, it usually happens when you let go of the outcome and the results and just focus on doing. Focus on doing, taking action. And expectations are so important, because it's like the driving force, especially for me, when I have my expectations, my desires somewhere in the future. I know where I'm taking it towards it. I don't know if it's happening for sure, who knows, but that's my desire at the moment, and I can always change my mind if something else is coming up. But it keeps me going. And
it's exactly this, to have many direction and sort of multi-dimensional direction. You have a direction for dream of yours, how physically, internally, mentally you want to be, how you want to be in your career, how you want to be with your friends. And I like especially goals which are based on character-driven goals, right? Instead of a numbers-driven goals or of specific location goals. It's more, okay, this is the version I want, I strive to be, right? This kind of character, right? And how can you create a life around your value? It's always the big question. What are your values? How can you create your and don't think of it's going to be in 1 year, 2 years, 5. No, it's going to be when it happens. Just every single day you will work on this just one step at a time. You'll get there, and most likely not how you want it, not when you want it, but you'll get there at somehow. I mean, again, this book 20 years ago, I wanted to publish five books. I went to see every editor, every publisher. They all said no. 20 years later now, in France, I'm a big name, and it's the biggest French publisher who came to me, say, wow, do you have a book inside of you? And, and I didn't care at the time. I'd like, oh, I'm too busy. And it took me a year to sit down, spend a few months, write the book.
Yeah.
And it's something I dreamed of 20 years ago. Right. And now it happened, but it's just took 20 years ago. So many things I've done took me 5, 7, 10, 15 years. And it's fine. Living with a tribe, I had dreamed for that 10 years. When I went spending a year in high school in America when I was 16, I dreamed of that since I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Living in America. When I went to Japan when I was 19, since I was 10 years old, I had dreamed of being in Japan.
Yeah.
It took me 10 years there. It's okay. Just
the but it's eventually happening,
That's as long as you don't let it go. You keep it part of your brain. You don't have to work it on every day. But every day, what else can I do on this dream of mine? I have still a bunch of dreams, things I want to accomplish, do, say, impact. And I look at my list from time. Wait, what can I do on this one? And some of them, and I'm fine. They happen. I'll be 70 years old, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And life will give me maybe not what I want, but what I need.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful as well.
It's something I've been aware more and more. It's really, I mean, you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need.
Yeah.
It's true. Whether it's for me, for people I coach, for my friends, for my whether I know, for my coaches that stand up for passion, everyone. And when they tell stories, I tell them actually, even don't tell the story you want to tell other people. No.
Tell the story you don't want to tell.
No,
right?
Tell them the story you need to tell to be free.
Okay.
And it's a different story. Every time I tell them, they're like, oh, okay. And it's an entirely different story they're gonna tell. I mean, tomorrow I have a friend of mine. She's gonna tell about when she was 19, fucked up, a drug addict, and one day she decided to basically be square with herself and get a hold of herself and not to be a fuck up anymore. And she spent 95 days in the wilderness of a special organization, sleeping outside, no blankets, not much food, but she turned her life over.
Yeah.
In 95 days, 93 days, a specific program. And when we first starting to talk about story, she wanted to talk about what she does, the good thing in the world. But I'm like, no, okay, give me something more substantial, real. But why you are the person you are? And then she found that story. I'm like, this is it's you. Everyone will remember that story.
Yeah.
And this is the story you need to tell.
And that is inspiring. That is helping other people to follow their passions and find their stories, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, this is a good time to end. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So
there was a good 10 minutes, right?
Good 10 minutes, yeah. Really I knew it's gonna happen, but it's like we go on the flow. But I enjoyed our conversation and sharing your energy and inspiration. It's truly admirable what you do.
Thank you
for the world. So thank you for coming, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next show. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and thank you for your work as well for the worldwide people you do, and for the coaching and for this podcast as well, spreading as many messages as you can. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.